So you don't understand that it's like killing, you don't think it's killing a human being?
No, I do.
And you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
What is going on, everyone? It's Grant with another episode of the Argument Audit. Today we're featuring the consistently repugnant Gen Z Democrat darling Dean Withers, featuring his extra spicy take from his appearance on Jubilee. I'll be challenging his argument's frame and his worldview in general to see if his take holds up logically. But before we get into it, please be sure to subscribe and smash that like button. It lets YouTube know you like our content so we can reach more people. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified the moment a new video drops. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Howdy.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi. Shannon, Dean, pleasure to meet you.
So I want to know why you think that killing babies should be legal.
Of course, because I'm a brutalistic Satanist and I love the DNC and I'm the leader of Antifa. Listen, the reason why I think abortion should be legal is because I don't think that abortion is morally wrong. I think it's a permissible action. And because I think it's a permissible action, I therefore don't see any good reason to infringe on a woman's bodily autonomy in the legal prevention of her access to abortion. Therefore, it's a human rights violation.
So you don't understand that it's like killing, you don't think it's killing a human being?
No, I do.
And you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So to clarify and summarize, Dean's claiming that he supports abortion, knowing or at least acknowledging it's murdering a child, because A, he doesn't think it's morally wrong and thus a permissible action, and B, because he sees it as permissible, he doesn't see a good reason to infringe on a woman's bodily autonomy by banning it. He's essentially saying, thing I like is fine. Because it's fine, it's not bad. And because it's not bad, we shouldn't infringe upon it. Just absolutely top tier stuff. Big brain moment for sure. Now see, this is something that leftists consistently do. They use the most verbose verbiage as possible so their take sounds all intellectual and very smart and well thought out, when in reality, it's just completely logically fallacious. It's just, I like thing, so thing is good, and I want thing. That's basically what it amounts to. Every single one of those premises he just listed is from a completely unjustified position. It's worth noting that this is one of those moments that exposes Jubilee's bias. Because if they had put any sort of competent conservative opposition in place, they wouldn't have responded the way she did. She just basically scoffed and laughed and was left speechless. But again, that's what they tend to do with conservatives. They will just pick total morons that don't put up a fight against people like Dean, and Dean can walk all over them. Just look at this clip right here. Charlie Kirk is on Jubilee, and he's going up against Dean Withers as one of the 20 liberals arguing against him. I mean, how obvious is it that they stacked the deck? Come on. Also to my boy Charlie Kirk, rest in peace, man. You're gone way too soon. So a little about Dean. He isn't a religious person. He doesn't adhere to the Christian moral worldview. He's an agnostic secularist who believes in the science. The best way to challenge his claim is to press him on why bodily autonomy for either women or men is a good thing in the first place, because secular morality won't be able to epistemologically justify such a belief. Now, the Christian ethicist would say the right to bodily autonomy is rooted in Scripture, divine command theory, or the teachings of Thomas Aquinas. In short, they'd say something like humans are justified in believing bodily autonomy possesses moral value because reason and divine revelation together teach that human beings are created in their image of God, endowed with rational agency, and that they're morally responsible for their actions. So, respecting bodily autonomy follows from recognizing that God created persons as free moral agents rather than mere objects of coercion. But Dean is a secularist. So the obvious question is, what actually grounds his belief that bodily autonomy is morally good? The problem is that secular morality struggles to provide a universal foundation. In practice, it usually reduces to one of three things: personal preference, majority opinion, or whoever has the power to enforce their will.
You don't think that we should focus more on preventable measures because you don't have to have an abortion?
Oh, well, I also disagree there. I do think that we should focus on preventable measures. In my optimal society, there's 0 abortions, okay? Not because we're forcing women to not get them, but rather because the conditions in which lead women to get them don't exist, such as poverty, financial instability, a lack of sexual education, the failure of contraceptives. In my ideal society, those things wouldn't exist.
Do you know that if a woman gets pregnant and she's not financially able to keep the baby and she doesn't want the baby, she could at least take Plan B?
Yeah. And I think that would be a good fact of sexual education to share with the world.
It's like
that
$20.
Plan B exists. Well, I mean, actually, Plan B is $55. There's off-brand versions that are $20. And I think that is a good piece of recommendation. But ultimately, if they don't take a Plan B or whatever happens after the pregnancy, they should be able to access abortion. Hey, I want to ask you this question. Do you think that victims should be able to access abortion?
No, because they could also take a morning after pill if they get If I were to I would go take a morning after pill the very next day.
Wow. So you think that a victim would have an obligation to maintain a pregnancy? Is that because that if they were...
This is yet another instance of how terrible of a debater she is. She just lets him totally dictate the framing of the debate, and he shifts the topic to abortion in cases of rape. So this is what's called a red herring, and it's thrown out in an effort to divert the topic from the original argument. But based on that original argument, he appears to be relying on personal preference. And his position amounts to saying that ending the life of an unborn child is justified because it conflicts with a value he likes. That's an extraordinarily weak foundation for a moral claim of that magnitude, because he's claiming the right to bodily autonomy is so important that it supersedes an innocent baby's right to life. Now, there are instances and circumstances where one's rights supersedes another's rights, such as killing another person in self-defense. Yet we can epistemologically ground these claims. But he can't even tell you why bodily autonomy is important in the first place, let alone make a moral judgment about it superseding an unborn child's right to life. It's a wholly unjustified position. And the problem doesn't stop there with Dean's fallacy. If morality is ultimately preference, then someone who says, I believe unborn children shouldn't be killed, is just as justified as Dean is. If it's majority opinion, then morality changes every time public opinion changes. If it's force, then whoever holds political power determines what's right. Do you think Dean would agree with the premise that Donald Trump determines what's right or not? Based on his worldview, he couldn't justify why that would even be bad. None of those approaches explains why something is objectively wrong, and that's an important distinction. They simply describe who prefers what, who votes for what, or who has enough power to impose their view. That's why this line of questioning is so effective when debating secular moral claims. It presses for the foundation beneath the conclusion, not just the conclusion itself. And oftentimes we find out that that foundation is non-existent. Ultimately, I do think Dean is someone who has moderate intelligence, but he isn't smart enough to realize how low-level and fallacious his viewpoints and arguments actually are. He's what we call a midwit, somebody with an IQ of around 105 to 115 that thinks they're a lot smarter than they actually are. He thinks himself intelligent because he's smarter than morons, but his ego keeps him from seeing that he's dumber than actual smart people, and he masks his deficient argumentations with verbose language, a quick speaking pattern, and to his credit, a little bit of charisma. But he's not someone who's taken seriously by legitimately intellectual people. Who knows, though? Dean's young. I was an atheist in my early 20s, so there's still hope for him yet, but to be honest with you, I'm not holding my breath. Anyways, that's all for today, guys. I know this is a shorter video than normal, so I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my latest video in the link right here. I think you're really going to like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks.